Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. That is Jack. I'm Conrad, and this is the 45. Now, I think Week 19 is over, even though there are 8 teams that have yet to play half of their fixtures due to all the COVID cancellations or postponements, I should say. And there are 7 matches that have yet to be rescheduled. That said, we will go through the last 6 that we saw, the 5 midweek plus the 1 match today being Saturday. Starting with the Wests, West Ham and West Brom. We talked about in the lead up to this match how important Mikel Antonio is to David Moyes and that team. He managed the match winner in the 66th. Lanzini looked great. Cresswell looked great. Benrahma looked great. This team is probably just another striker away, depth-wise, from doing some really interesting things in the Premier League. Maybe challenging for Europe. I don't know. But meanwhile, Sam Allardyce getting his system integrated at West Brom. Sloppy defensively, a lot of mistakes. Again, they were papered over in that the Black Country Derby on the weekend, but not the same fortune here as they had over Wolves.
Yeah, what I'm seeing from West Ham is they're finally beginning to use the vast amount of talent that they have available at their disposal. For West Brom, they have much less talent than West Ham, and they're relying on that a bit too much. I think Mateus Pereira is looking phenomenal. I brought him into my fantasy Premier League team at the beginning of the year because I just kind of thought he was going to be great for them. Not to pat myself on the back, but I mean, I'm a genius. Sam Allardyce can suck it. They, I think, have got enough to stay up. I think they've shown that as much. But this was West Ham.
You think they have enough?
I think they definitely have enough to stay up. I think they do.
At the expense of who?
I think with the way Newcastle's playing, we'll talk about them much later. Definitely, there are some teams above them that are a bit shakier than they are. So they have a lot of optimism for the future. That being said, West Ham, I think this is a great result for them. You scraped it out. You were creating goals. And West Brom are not an easy team to score against. Yes, they were a bit sloppy in this one. But at the end of the day, you created some good chances, 1.89 XG to the half XG for West Brom. So you deserved it. You're in 7th place now. You played all your 19. So there are teams behind you like Villa and ahead of you in terms of Everton and Spurs who have more games or less games played than you. But you're on a good run. 2 draws, 3 wins.
Good spot.
Yeah, you're in a great spot. You're going against Palace next. They are going to be kind of optimistic heading into the second half of the season, which is crazy that we're already that far in. But I think there's a lot of reason for optimism for West Ham, which is justified because they have one of the most talented squads in the league, and they should be in these kinds of positions year in, year out.
Well, we talk about, Declan Rice and Souček in that midfield is ridiculous. They've still played every minute. They've scored 27. They've conceded 22. I'd like them to get a little tighter defensively in order to really challenge that top 7, I think. But I agree. They have a lot of talent. And this is Moyes' play. He plays an unremarkable style, but he gets results, and he knows how to do it. Save the 1 year that he played, that he was the manager at Manchester United. That was just a bad idea. But anyhow, good win for West Ham, nonetheless. Leicester, Chelsea. So about Leicester having that quietly nice season, the thing we talked about in the lead up to this match, they continue to get overlooked because there's so many different storylines. You have the high-flying Manchester sides. You have Liverpool and Chelsea, their opponent here, in a bit of a free fall. Spurs are a bit of a yo-yo. Arsenal are Arsenal. They're back in 10th. But West Ham are challenging. Everton are in the mix. But this is a really, really good side. And Brendan Rodgers has his team playing with a lot of confidence. And can you consider that Vardy doesn't have a goal in the last 5, right?
That's a big deal.
You hear James Maddison. I messaged you right after the match when that James Maddison press conference because he was glowing, right? He has so much joy and so much confidence. You could see how that team enjoys playing for that manager and enjoys playing with one another. And they know they're all interested in figuring out, all right, what do I need to do to get better? He wanted to get into the national side. He wanted to help his team win. I mean, it was just such a great interview. But then none of that stuff is true of Chelsea, right? Lampard doesn't know who his first choice outfield is right now. He's got 5 guys that want to play the same position.
Yeah.
And how hot is that seat? I maintain that I think he's going to be okay, but I think during that match I said I think Frank is going to get fired.
Yeah. You compare, we'll start with Leicester first, the positives. Leicester, compare them to Liverpool and the team that are 4 points behind them now in terms of the attitudes of the players. Liverpool look like a shell of their former selves. They do not look confident. They do not look ready for their matches whenever they play. Leicester a lot like Villa, we saw them play today as well. They look very excited for their match. They look very willing to play for each other. As you mentioned, what can I do? A lot of personal responsibility. Responsibility has been the name of the game for this Leicester side. You can make a legitimate argument. I want to do a bit of a deeper dive into this. Is this team better than the one that won the title 5-6 years ago now? I think you could legitimately make an argument for that. It's just that the competition in this league is so much better than it was that year, which is a down year for 19 other clubs except for one, who had their greatest year ever. So Leicester are in a great spot. You are in a legitimate title race. You were playing at a great level. You were competitive. You beat Man City. You got crushed by Liverpool. Yes, that's a bit of a bad one. But this match, I think, just emphasizes that they deserve to be where they are. They belong there. For Chelsea, though, it's an embarrassing result. I've been, not Lampard out, but I've been saying I wouldn't be surprised if he's been fired for the last 3 weeks now. And my stance has been vindicated almost week in, week out, because this was a terrible performance. Yes, there were defensive mistakes that the Reece James defending on the Madison goal.
That was terrible positioning.
Was terrible. What was he doing? He just kind of watched Madison just kind of cruise forward into wide open space, pick up the ball, and just lash it past Mendy. End of the day, players don't look like they're playing for him. Doesn't have a distinct style, and it doesn't have enough experience. Doesn't have enough tactical know-how. We see today that Steven Gerrard, one of the biggest comparisons that are ever made between players in the history of social media, is Lampard, Gerrard, and Scholes. And in terms of managerial careers, Gerrard has Rangers 23 clear in the Scottish Premier League. Chelsea, meanwhile, are struggling.
Huge number.
Yeah, huge number. What is interesting to me about Lampard is he's not had experience in these kind of situations before. He's never dealt with this kind of adversity. He doesn't have the experience in the manager's seat of doing it. He knows how to do it as a player. He has no questions about that. But he can't instill that into his players very clearly. They're in ninth. They could continue to drop further. Like, there is danger of them getting passed by Arsenal. Arsenal, who lost to Southampton today.
Well, yeah, I mean, Arteta has less managerial first seat, experience than Lampard. He at least, Lampard had Derby and almost got them up, right? Mm-hmm. But Arteta just finally figured on one side and picked a team and went with it. And mm-hmm. Lampard hadn't figured that out yet. I see them in the similar vein.
I think the benefit Arteta has is there's far less expectation at Arsenal right now, which is, it's
true.
Maybe it's unjustified, but Chelsea just have incredibly high expectations in terms of what they want from their managers, and it's worked in recent years. The firing of managers and just kind of kicking one out when he's not working and bringing another one in. I wouldn't be surprised if they do bring Lampard down. Their next match is against Wolves. They're winless in their last 5. That is a must-win. I think if that's a loss, I'd be stunned if he continues there. I'm stunned that he didn't get fired after this result. So I'm stunned they're giving him more time to fix things. I guess it's good. You want to see managers have time to fix things. There's not a ton of long-term growth from the turnover of managers, but he's on his very last legs. The seat is burning right now, and I would not want to sit where he is right now.
Yeah, not good for Chelsea right now, or Frank Lampard. Next up, City and Villa. So Dean Smith got sent off in this match, and I think what is one of the greatest troll comments ever, arguing that Bernardo Silva's goal should not have been allowed because he was offside, and he was right. But he asked the fourth official, David Coots, whether he received juggling balls for Christmas, which is, I guess he's calling him a clown, right? I don't know how else to take that. I mean,
that's good.
He was right, but City were dominant. Mm-hmm. Villa's defense and Emi Martinez was great. They kept Villa in it. But City went on with their 6th win in a row. Again, inevitable, it felt like. Climbed second on 38 points. 1 match still in hand. 2 points behind Manchester neighbors. Villa 11th on 26 after this one. 3 matches in hand. They again played today. We'll talk about them again. But Villa just on the back foot, almost from the very first whistle.
I mentioned before this match that if Man City win this game, it would be the real wow moment for me. This was a wow result. Today, they played Cheltenham away, and they scraped it to a 3-1, I believe. So, they have...
It was 1-0 down until the 80th.
And then I remember I was watching that, and I thought, this is a great tweet opportunity. Let's look at some finances, make a cheeky little tweet. Post a tweet. 30 seconds later, Phil Foden has the ball in the back of the net. Completely my fault. This match was a deserving Man City win. You could argue about the offsides all day. I think by the letter of the law, It probably was offside. Actually, it might have been a mistake. There's a
I
lot of
think
back. There's a lot of back and forth on it, but ultimately, Villa did not deserve to win that game. Yes, they lost because of the decision at the end of the day. Same time, you have to recognize the positives. I think Emi Martinez is probably the only one for Aston Villa because he is incredibly good. 3.7.2 xG, 3.72 xG for Man City.
That's a giant number.
It's a gigantic number. Only 2 conceded, and also there was a penalty as well, which does boost that a little bit. But I mean, Villa didn't look like they were in it, which is rare, and I think it speaks to the defensive tenacity of Ruben Diaz, Stones being great at his job as well, and Man City just overall being very solid in their structure. So the only negative they have, I think, leaving this game is De Bruyne picked up an injury out for the next 4 to 6 weeks. He's going to miss the Liverpool game, miss the Spurs game, might miss the first Champions League knockout game. I'm interested how they react without him against non-Cheltenham sides because he's a crucial part of that side. And without him, they're a different team. Bernardo Silva scoring a goal is big for them, though, because he's going to get some more form going. Foden obviously scoring on the weekend against Cheltenham. So a lot of positivity for Man City, who are currently second with a chance to go first if they win their game in hand. West Brom next. I think I do not envy the position of Sam Allardyce in West Brom because that might be a bad game.
It could be ugly.
Could be ugly.
It could be really ugly. Next up, Fulham and United. Fulham got the early lead. I don't like early leads. 5 minutes into the match, you're ahead. I don't like early leads for a club like Fulham against a club like Man United in the form that they're in.
Yeah.
Because your tendency is to start just defend. They, to their credit, they started to right. They had a couple of moments, but Areola mishandles the Bruno cross. Cavani capitalizes. Fulham started the second half nicely, but they're just unequal. And they did equal United's 5 shots on target, right? But just not as clinical. Paul Pogba with that turn and curler, I mean, just as absolute thing of beauty. But I still can't tell if United are for real or if they're a mirage. Or are they a real legit title contender?
I struggle with the same questions that you have because what they have is a great spirit when they go down. That they know that they can come back and win a game. That's impressive. That's not easy to do. So I think that when they scored, I had the exact same reaction you did when Fulham scored early. I was like, yeah, I'm not worried if I'm a United fan because there's a lot. There's 85 more minutes plus, and Bruno looked great. He didn't have a goal or an assist in this game, but he still made a big impact, and that's, I think, a testament to what he can do. Cavani, a poacher, was a great goal, and then Pogba proving why he has the talent. There was a lot of trolling online towards Liverpool fans about Pogba versus Thiago. Pogba and Bruno, the 2 best midfielders that are currently fit in the Premier League. I think the big thing with the United side is consistency has been one of their biggest plaguing problems they've had under Ole, under Mourinho for the last several years.
Especially Pogba.
Especially Pogba. I don't believe this is a side that is capable of winning a title. Prove me wrong if you want to. I don't think they have it in them. They have gotten I think they lost against Spurs, and they didn't win any of their matches against other big six clubs this season so far. They can't win the big games. They can win small games, yes, but when they are against a side of their caliber, they're struggling. That being said, you're first. That does mean something. It's not a trophy yet. There's no award for being top after 19 matches, but it's better than being 7th after 19 matches. It's better than being 4th like Liverpool are, 6 points off after 19 matches. So take the positives when you can. If they're not making a title run this year, they are building a great squad that has a lot of good foundation to it. Has its problems, obviously, as we've talked about in length in past videos. But this was a scrappy result, got the points. I'm fascinated how the reaction is to that Pogba goal because we're only a few weeks removed when his agent publicly said he's leaving the club this summer or this January. His future's not at Man United. And yet he's dragging them in the last couple of results. I forget what game it was that he had. The other goal, it was against Burnley, I believe, that he had the banging goal.
The 1-0 win.
The 1-0 win. He has 2 winners in the last 3 matches for them. He's been crucial for them. And so I wonder, this United side, if they lose a player of Pogba's quality, where do they go from there? A lot of questions about Man United, and they are good ones for a rare moment where usually there were a lot of negativity around that club.
Talk about negativity. Liverpool 0, Burnley 1. Burnley maintained their 16th place on 19 points with a vital away win at Anfield. Their first league win there since 1974. They're now 7 points clear of the relegation spots. With the right reinforcements, I think Dyche will clearly be able to keep this team up. He is good at it. He's good at managing this club. He's been there, it seems like, forever. Liverpool managed 27 shots. Their most, I think, this year. 6 on target. Nick Pope did a fine job between the sticks. Liverpool have not scored in 2021, much less won a match. Now winless in the last 5. They're there 4th on 34 points. Everybody's saying, Klopp is failing. The club is in distress. They're 6 points off table leaders, Man United. It's a bad run of form for Klopp's men, but Arsenal, remember, they were in 15th. There was talk about them being relegated. We knew that wasn't going to happen, right? They're back to 10th and won 4 of 5. Both Manchester sides were in the bottom half. They're now 1 and 2. Spurs have been up and down. They're as high as 1st. They were as low as 8th. Chelsea, as we talked about, woefully out of form. This league remains wide open. This is the first dry spell for this club over the last 2.5 years where we talk about consistency. They have been remarkably consistent. They are in a terrible run of form right now. They cannot score.
That was far too much rationality from you right there. I mean, we need to have the polls up about, are we selling Mohamed Salah in the summer? Are we making a complete rebuild in the summer? It's a joke, not what I see. This is a club that has many problems, obviously, but fundamentally it has probably the second most talent in their squad in the Premier League and is a top 5 club in the world. What they're going through is what's called bad form. And that is very common because, what these players are, they're human beings and they are struggling right now. They're dealing with mental problems. They're dealing with all these issues. Will they come back? Yes. Will it be too late for them to mount another title charge? Who's to say, honestly? I floated the idea in the last video that if Liverpool lose their streak to Burnley at home, then there would be major questions asked about Liverpool and major problems that are almost unfixable. And so I think I have to live up to that. They have major problems that they need to really fix very, very soon, or things get very bad. In an ideal world without a pandemic, they would sign a center back to help them with their problems there because it's a knock-on effect. You move Fabinho and Henderson to your defense; those are 2 of your better midfielders. They can't play in the midfield. They can't play up. They can't make the build-up play better for them going up top. So, yes, I understand what you're saying. Where it's all these clubs have gone through bad streaks. Liverpool are no exception. They have their bad streak as well.
They're not immune. Yeah.
Not immune. So I'm just interested in what Klopp does with this side. It's going to be fascinating. Their next match against Spurs in the league, Man United on the weekend tomorrow. That's going to be a great game on paper. Probably going to suck like the last one, though. So I'm not too looking forward to that one in that sense.
It has to be a winner, though.
Exactly. There has to be a winner in that one. It can't be another 0-0 draw.
It can't play forever.
I'll give some credit to Burnley. This was a monumentous result. This was huge. A season-changing result for them. You could kind of liken it to the Watford result, the 3-0 win that they had last season.
Although it didn't turn out well for Watford.
It didn't turn out well for Watford, so Burnley will hope that a stunning win against Liverpool to end a streak isn't going to be the same issue for them. But what is mind-numbingly stupid about this Liverpool team is you have no forward over like 5'10", maybe for me it's that tall.
And you cross
to Burnley. Burnley, the most. If you looked up English Football Club in Wikipedia, it's just a picture of Burnley because they are English to its core. They play an ugly style of football that just forces you to be creative. Liverpool were not creative. They were devoid of ideas. They were devoid of momentum. They were devoid of motivation. And Burnley capitalized on that. They got a little fortune in the penalty call, but they deserved the points fully. Liverpool cannot complain about refereeing when you can't score goals in what is it now, 4 straight games? You haven't won in the last 5.
I think 5. Yeah.
It is a must win for Spurs against Spurs. If they don't win that, I'm saying it right then and there, title charge is over. There it is, Klopp. He's shaking right now after hearing me say that. He's very scared.
I don't think he's going to hear you say that.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
Next up, Villa Newcastle. This afternoon's match. Emil Martinez, 9th clean sheet in a Villa shirt. Ollie Watkins gets on the score sheet. Could have had 2. We'll talk about that. Villa could have had scored 4 overall. Newcastle manager Steve Bruce commented on the match, saying he saw enough to be encouraged. Meanwhile, Craig Hope, his headline said Newcastle have no spark, no desire, no idea, and that headline just kept going. It didn't stop. It got worse. Both of those, I suppose, can be true, but the truer fact is Villa are very, very good, and Newcastle are not. Grealish once again with that assist, this time for Traore, who just had that rocket off the underside of the bar for the first. Or no, that was the second. That was the insurance goal. The first half goal from Watkins off of the suboptimal Fabian Schär clearance. He had another ruled out. Again, it was a beautiful feed from Grealish. That guy just puts the ball where his front line mates can put it in the net. Very comfortable for Villa. Go 8th on 29. Newcastle drop one spot to 16th on 19 points.
Aston Villa are what Newcastle should be, because what Aston Villa have is a plethora of talent, a great manager who has the players' full backing, and they are playing with a lot of motivation, a lot of passion in a city that loves them, a fan base that loves them. Newcastle have one of the best fan bases in all of football, all of the world of football. And they have great history, great legacy, and a ton of talent that is being wasted by Steve Bruce. They should not be 16th. They should be comfortably mid-table. They should be
top half.
They should be top half. They should be where Aston Villa are. Honestly, before the season started, they should have been flipped based on the talent of these sides. Newcastle have more talent than Aston Villa. I would argue that. But at the end of the day, Aston Villa are a better team than Newcastle because they have better management from Dean Smith. And they have one of the best players in the entire league, in Jack Grealish, who just makes things tick for them. And they are playing with a great togetherness, great spirit that Newcastle just cannot compete with. So,
Villa play a style that fits the side that they have.
Exactly.
Newcastle play the way Steve Bruce wants to play, not the talent that Newcastle have. It's a mismatch.
Painful, yes. I would not be surprised if they go somewhere else in terms of management, because there is so much wasted potential here that they should be doing far better than what they are. So, I don't know what the answer is.
Bruce has managed to keep them up, I suppose, but your goal shouldn't be to stay up at this point.
That's a stinky statement that you have to be like, oh, well, they're not getting relegated. They're Newcastle. Alan Shearer used to play there, one of the best strikers in the history of the game. I think his job should be in a lot more peril than it is. They should be.
Who gets fired first, him or Lampard?
It might be Lampard, but it probably should be Bruce, which would be kind of surprising.
Aston Villa 2, Newcastle 0. That does wrap up the official Week 19 for us. We will not talk about Week 19 again.
Moving on, Week 20. So glad.
Jack?
About 3 weeks of Week 19.
Conrad, it feels like it's been going on since.
I've literally named my files like Week 19 review underscore, like it feels like underscore 7.
6.
That's what it feels like.
New, final, last.
Exactly.
Jack, Conrad, this has been the 45 Week 19 review. Please let us know what you think in the comments. Do like and subscribe. Look for us on the Twitter at the 45. Take care now.